Hello everyone, welcome to my GMB News channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Two tech-related things made me laugh this week. One was Donald Trump's childlike exuberance at seeing the dash panel of a Tesla on the White House lawn, and his wondrous exclamation that everything is computer. The other was equally hilarious, also tied to politics. Keir Starmer stood up yesterday in Hull and said waste would be thrown by the wayside and the civil service would lose its bloat, thanks to the transformative effects of AI. What I knew and no one else did until my story for New Scientist was published shortly afterwards, was that the Prime Minister was talking nonsense. I had seen the government's AI-powered revolution firsthand, and it was all hooey. With what is believed to be a world-first use of Freedom of Information (FOI) laws for this purpose, I had obtained the interactions Peter Kyle, the UK Technology Secretary, had with ChatGPT for his job. The department Kyle heads had rejected an earlier FOI request because granting it ran the risk of unveiling his own personal conversations with ChatGPT. If Kyle's chats are any indication of what the AI revolution promises in government, then we're in for a tough time. My knowledge of the UK's podcast scene is what you would expect as a middle-aged white man who spends too much time on the internet. So even I could answer the question Kyle first posed to the chatbot: which podcast should he appear on to reach a wide audience? What Kyle asked next, which of the 4 podcasts ChatGPT had recommended had the most listeners, might have seemed like a sensible use of the generative AI tool, but it was also something that a quick Google could have solved in much the same time, and with fewer concerns that it was making up numbers like an overconfident Oxbridge graduate. AI hallucinations, the submission of false, incorrect, or misleading results, remain a real and present fear with generative AI tools, and are alarmingly common. So too is the idea of mixing things up a little. Recent BBC research showed AI tools such as ChatGPT got major things wrong when summarizing its reporting. As to the Tech Secretary's query about why AI adoption is so slow in British small and medium-sized businesses, SMBs, that was equally unenlightening. It isn't a novel or original take to say that data protection laws, such as General Data Protection Regulations (GDPR), may stymie the development of a technology that is subject to multiple lawsuits about data breaches and copyright risks. Nor, you would hope, is it beyond the civil services ken to understand that many SMBs are unaware of these programs or find them difficult to navigate, as ChatGPT solemnly told Kyle in point 7 of a plotting 10-point treatise. Not reassuring that a minister with a department of experts is using AI for these sorts of questions. As one critic put it, ChatGPT was stronger at answering Kyle's questions, seeking simplified analogies for complicated concepts such as quantum or antimatter. Though, as some social media commentators have pointed out, it's a little worrying that Kyle felt the need to ask an AI chatbot for a definition of digital inclusion. Presumably he should know as the person responsible for overseeing it. I was generally surprised both by the comparative lack of interaction Kyle had had with ChatGPT, given he spent the past several months telling anyone with an audio recorder about his hankering for the technology, and by the sorts of questions he was asking. In fact, my response on seeing the interaction between AI and the minister at the sharp end of the government's use and knowledge of it was, is this it? Is this the generative AI revolution we're banking our future and our economy on? There are ways to harness AI in government for the public good. Churning through complicated data to unpick patterns that the human eye misses, for example, AI-powered drug discovery, deep research of the type that can add insights long forgotten or never previously thought about. These are all attainable wins. Quite how the government's talk of AI's promise and potential chimes with the reality of how it is used now is something the Tech Secretary will have to answer for himself. Perhaps he can ask ChatGPT for some help there too. The world of politics and technology has always been a fascinating intersection, and this week 2 moments had me laughing out loud. The first involved former US President Donald Trump and his wide-eyed wonder at the dashboard of a Tesla, leading him to exclaim in true Trumpian fashion, "Everything is computer." The second was a moment of unintended comedy from the UK, where Prime Minister Keir Starmer confidently proclaimed that AI would be the savior of government efficiency, slashing waste and trimming bureaucracy. Little did he know I had evidence that the supposed AI revolution in government was, to put it kindly, an absolute farce. With what is believed to be a world-first use of Freedom of Information (FOI) laws in this domain, I managed to obtain records of interactions between Peter Kyle, the UK Technology Secretary, and ChatGPT. Kyle's department had initially refused my FOI request on the grounds that releasing the records would amount to exposing his personal conversations. But after some persistence, I got my hands on them, and they painted a rather bleak picture of AI's role in government decision-making. Kyle's very first question to ChatGPT? He wanted podcast recommendations to reach a broad audience. A little basic but fair enough. But his next move revealed a troubling dependency on the AI. He asked which of the 4 recommended podcasts had the most listeners. A simple Google search could have provided a more reliable answer in seconds. This was the UK's tech secretary, a man meant to be guiding AI policy, relying on a chatbot for something that a junior staffer could have researched more effectively. The situation only got worse. Kyle sought ChatGPT's insight into why AI adoption in small and medium-sized businesses, SMBs, was so sluggish in Britain. The response? A generic, unoriginal 10-point list, including points like, data protection regulations may be a barrier, and many SMBs are unaware of these programs. This was not groundbreaking analysis. It was the kind of response you'd expect from a lazy undergraduate essay. One of the biggest concerns surrounding generative AI is its tendency to hallucinate, that is, to produce false or misleading information. Recent BBC research has demonstrated that tools like ChatGPT often fail to accurately summarize news reporting, sometimes inserting details that simply do not exist. And yet, Kyle was treating this technology as though it were an omniscient oracle rather than a digital assistant with a well-documented tendency to make things up. The real kicker? Kyle had even used ChatGPT to explain basic concepts, including quantum and antimatter. Fine, these are tricky topics even for those well-versed in science. But when he asked ChatGPT to define digital inclusion, I had to do a double take. This was the man responsible for overseeing digital inclusion in the UK, and he needed an AI chatbot to define it for him? What was most surprising wasn't just the nature of Kyle's questions, but the sheer lack of engagement he had with the AI. Given how much he had been hyping the technology in public statements, I expected to find extensive, sophisticated interactions. Instead, his queries were sporadic, shallow, and uninspired. Was this really the AI revolution we were banking our future on? To be clear, AI has real potential in government. It can be used to process vast amounts of data, uncover hidden patterns, aid in medical research, and improve efficiency in countless ways. But what Kyle's conversations revealed was that the government's current approach was nowhere near as advanced as the rhetoric suggested. If the UK's technology secretary was relying on AI for such elementary queries, what did that say about the actual use of AI in government decision-making? It's a little frightening to consider that officials may be making policy decisions based on chatbot-generated responses. If Starmer and his team truly believe that AI will streamline the civil service, they might want to first ensure that ministers understand how to use it effectively. The contrast between the hype and reality of AI in politics is stark. Trump's childlike awe at a Tesla dashboard was a funny, almost endearing moment. A man encountering technology he didn't fully understand but was visibly impressed by. Kyle's interactions with ChatGPT, on the other hand, were emblematic of something much more concerning: the blind faith that politicians often place in technology, even when they don't grasp its limitations. In the coming years, AI will undoubtedly play a greater role in government operations. But if this week's revelations are anything to go by, we should be deeply skeptical of politicians' grand promises about AI's transformative power. Before they start making sweeping claims about AI's ability to revolutionize governance, perhaps they should spend some time learning how to use it properly. Or at the very least, do a little Googling. So what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.